Hey, Ty Cohen here, and I'm pretty excited to share what we'll be talking about in the next couple of minutes with you because I have someone that has become a great friend, and one of the questions that I get a lot is a lot of people ask me, after all these years, how do I continue to make 30, 40, 50,000 in some months a month consistently publishing Kindle ebooks? And to be honest with you, you guys know I don't fluff. I don't beat around the bush. It's a lot of work. As a matter of fact, it's a hell of a lot of work. I have an entire system, a team of writers, cover designers, and more. But I have to tell you, that's the hard way of doing it. That's the way that I initially started doing it. And about a year and a half ago, I was at a marketing event, and I was introduced to a young lady by the name of Lina, who is also a Kindle ebook publisher and a wickedly amazing software programmer. And when you put those two skills together, you get something incredibly good. In fact, you get something that is a pure moneymaker. And listen, I'm not saying it just to be saying it. What she has done is something that will make the process of publishing ebooks, Kindle books, and basically any type of written content so much easier for me, you, and anyone else who is interested in publishing ebooks. A lot faster and simpler. And best of all, a heck of a lot less expensive. You wouldn't believe the amount of money that I spend to churn out the amount of ebooks that we publish on a monthly consistent basis. All right? And with that, the whole setup that she has, you can crank out ebooks quickly. Your content will be 100% unique, 100%, and it's an incredibly good book. All right, you don't need to hire writers. You no longer have to struggle with the inconsistencies in your writing if you're writing this stuff yourself. You don't have to worry about getting burned out from writing or suffering from writer's block, as I know a lot of you do, because you write into me and you tell me, Ty, how do I get over procrastinating? How do I get over not being able to come up with ideas and content? All right. You also don't need a huge budget to pull in a ton of money from this. All you need is the software that we're going to be sharing with you in the next couple of minutes. All right. You need the software, a cover for your ebook, and basically that's about it. This tool solves all of the problems that I just mentioned for you. And it also makes it easy to make a boatload of money with ebooks. So with that said, I want to bring on Lina. Lina, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. So what I want to do is I want to talk about the program, and I'm not going to give the name of it away yet. I want you to do that because this is your baby. I actually got a chance to meet up with Lina and one of her assistants and a good friend of mine, Sam England, as well. We all went out for lunch at Cracker Barrel here in North Carolina, and she had this huge tour bus and this huge setup and everything else. So Lena's part of a big time here, so she's really doing it well. And she's put a lot of effort into this thing, which is why I'm really, really excited. I hope you can hear the excitement in my voice because I got a chance to sit down. We were at Cracker Barrel, and we were at the table, and she had her computer, her laptop, and she bought it. And I see a lot of things. I see a lot of programs, and I see a lot of push-button software programs and things that will help to create content. And I have never seen anything like this. I was actually blown away, and I was also a little bit disappointed, too. And I'll tell you why I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I was wondering, why the hell didn't I create this?
I was going to say, what? You were disappointed.
I don't know if you could tell or not, Lena, but as we were sitting there, I'm like, Jesus, I should have created, like, this is amazing. Like, and it's kind of, my wife always says, it's hard to impress me, but I was really impressed with this thing because the way that it just, and on top of being impressed,
oh my God, wait. Your wife says it's hard to impress you?
Hey, we're going to, let's stay on topic.
I was like, wait a minute.
Let's stay on topic there. Yeah, but, so, okay, let me reel myself back in now. So I also saw dollar signs, right? Because there's several ways that you can do extremely well. And there's several ways that I found out that, and this is by trial and error, right? After just years of me doing this stuff, I found that if there's 3 or 4 things. There's a handful of things that I do that will consistently allow me to have just amazingly great sales months, all right? And just sell thousands of ebooks every single month, tens of thousands sometimes. And we'll talk about those closer towards the end of this video, so I want you to stay on, especially if you want to get those 3 or 4 things that you must do, especially if you want to get, to the point where you're just bringing in a crazy amount of money. I mean, money where you can take vacations every month, where you can literally go in and buy a car if you wanted to, cash every month, and just do extremely well with it. And this software program eliminates a lot of the things that you have to do in those handful of steps manually. All right, because she's created a way to automate this. Now, usually when you think about push-button software programs, it can put a bad taste in your mouth, right, like it does with mine sometimes. But this software program actually does something that no other program does. It helps you to create 100% unique, incredibly, amazingly good-looking content that flows well, content that reads well, and content that your readers will be more than willing to go in and leave you positive feedback for on Amazon or wherever you decide to publish it. All right, and that's extremely important. You guys know that I'm a huge advocate of making sure that you publish high-quality content, stuff that you're not going to have to go in and beg people to leave feedback for. That you're not going to have to go in and do shady things like go on Fiverr and try to buy reviews and things like that. All right, and the reviews are the power behind what pushes your sales on Amazon. All right, so using this program, I actually have a copy of it. I have 2 copies of it. She actually gave me a copy the first day we met, and then I just recently got a copy as well, and that I'm going to let my daughter use. And using this program, you're able to just really crank out good stuff. All right, good stuff fast. So enough of me yapping about it. I know you're ready to see it. I'm ready to see it again as well. So what I'm going to do is, Lina, I am going to, let me just switch over here. I'm going to share your, or pass it over to you so you can share your screen. And
Okay.
let me just make you an organizer here. I think once you see the power behind this, it's going to blow your mind, because I'm saying, when I first saw it, we're at the restaurant here, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I could literally just 3x, 4x the amount of content that we're currently publishing right now, and just really start to pull in some huge numbers, all right? Some huge numbers with this thing. So,
and that was really my goal. I mean, as a writer myself, I was looking for ways that.
Oh, Lina, I think we lost you.
Then that just means you're going to make money faster.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's something that, can you still hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And that's one of the things that I want to cover too during this short video here. And then we're going to show you guys how to get access to it too, because this thing is pretty limited, as a matter of fact. If I understand it right, you're only making it available for a few days. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's 8 days in total that it'll be available. And a lot of people ask, why are you closing it? Why don't you leave it open? And the reason for that is because I want to be able to really focus energy on being able to develop this product more and more. And it's easy to do that when it's not available for sale, because then I can really focus on developing it and refining the content, making the content better, making new types of content that the system can produce. So that's why we have it open just for a limited time, and every time it gets released at a further stage, the pricing model changes. So that's the other advantage to just kind of getting in, right when it's available.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. Speaking of pricing, Lina, I think one of the things that do you want to tell everyone that's listening? One of the things that I mentioned to Lina, she hasn't done this yet, but she's planning on doing it. I hope she is. But when I saw this and what it could do, I immediately said to her, "You should be charging I would be charging like $2,000 for this."
I know. Yeah, and it'll probably come to a time and a stage where that would be the going price for it, and it would be well worth it, just because it's doing so much. It's already doing so much, and once you see all the stuff that I've added to it, Ty, since even when we talked, I mean, it's just something that I'm just committed to really developing, and that's one of the reasons that I took the effort to come out and see you because I'm trying to, bring the software in front of people that can get it to people that can help make a difference in the way that they write. Because I know a lot of writers struggle with trying to figure out how to put words together and how to, streamline their thoughts and their ideas into, a physical form of a book. So that's that's just the beauty of how all this works.
Absolutely, and one of the reasons why I suggested that you increase the price is because it's well worth it. I'm a big believer of paying for stuff that you will be able to see a return on. So even if I had to pay $2,000 for this thing, me knowing what I know about publishing ebooks and the 3 or 4 handfuls of things that I'm going to cover with you at the end of this video, it would definitely be well worth it, and it's something that I would be able to make a return on my money with.
You would make, no doubt, you would make. I mean, because the content is timeless. You would make your money back, and as long as it takes you to use it, really.
That's it. That's it. So with that said, how about we go through a quick demo of this, because I want to show people how quickly they can go in and create content, quality content, and maybe before we do that, would you like to show them an example of what you've done with this?
Yeah. You can see my screen here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is basically the screen that you see when you first log in. So I'm just going to go over here into the tools, and when you see all the different projects that we have here, you can kind of get an idea of the variety of topics that can be written. Basically anything that you can break down into a verb that is like, for example, running a marathon, or housebreaking a puppy, organizing your home office, making money from home, becoming a vegetarian, fighting insomnia, understanding suicide, eating a healthier diet, losing 25 pounds. I mean, you could see the variety of topics, that manifesting wealth, the variety of topics that can be made. Anything that you can break down into a phrase that starts with a verb that is some sort of an accomplishment. You could see these are just a list of various levels of accomplishments. Achieving nirvana. I just want to kind of find one that I did recently. My Fermenting Vegetables book is an example that I'll kind of take you through, because it's a book that I recently wrote. And, because I understand how this software works, and once you guys use it a few times, then you'll understand this power that you have by using the software. So a lot of times what I do when I'm just sitting on my deck and, watching people on the lake or whatever, I sit there and I just think of verbs, because I know that if I can come up with a good verb or a good phrase, I can write a book in like less than 2 hours. And I have a little notebook that I write down all my ideas in, just of projects that I know that I can create fast. And fermenting vegetables was one of them, because I was sitting there, I was like, oh, fermenting, that's an awesome verb.
That's incredible. And that quickly you can come up with ideas.
Yeah. So once you have an idea of what you want to write about, the other thing too, before I take you into demo the software, I just want to show you real quick. This is something that I give everybody that purchases a license to the software. It's a workbook that I created, a physical workbook that I send you, where you can actually sit down and jot down all your words, and you can see it's kind of like a mind map of all the phrases that I'm about to show you in this software. So let me just take you over here and show you. So fermenting vegetables, that's the first phrase. We'll go ahead and hit submit. And you can see right here on the bottom, there's different options. So as you're filling out all the questions, it'll tell you how many more you have to answer in order to produce 1,500 words, or how many more you need to produce in order to view 5,000 words. And then, there's an option once you have 5,000 words, you can extend that even further to 10,000 words. So now that I put in fermenting vegetables, it's going to ask me to rephrase fermenting vegetables in a different way while still starting with the verb. And then, if you don't know verbs, nouns, adjectives, if you get kind of confused, or it's been a long time since you've been in school, there's examples here for every single one, so you can, you can kind of read that to get a little bit of a clue on what is being looked for with each of the questions. So 57 questions is what it takes to get to 5,000 words. So fermenting vegetables rephrased, that I made it pickling vegetables. And then the next screen is going to ask me the opposite of fermenting vegetables. What's the opposite of fermenting vegetables? That would be eating canned vegetables. and then enter in a phrase of what someone is doing if they're successfully fermenting vegetables. They're eating healthy or eat healthy. So again, as you can see, all these phrases, they all relate to one another, and that's sort of the advantage of using this book, because the book will show you specifically how the questions connect to one another, and it allows you to sort of really reflect on what the message is of the content that you're writing. So when you can reflect on what the message is, it allows you, you're really only writing maybe 100 to 150 words, and then 5,000 words are going to spit out. So you want to make sure that you really hone in on what you're trying to teach people or what you're trying to convey to people while you're putting in these questions. And a lot of times if you kind of prepare beforehand before you jump into the software, it will help you to to just make sure that what you're trying to convey is all the way there. So let's see what the next one is here.
And this is, as Lina's going through this is, I want you to understand that this is partly how you create unique content, because it's going to be something that's totally different from what everyone else is publishing out there. You're actually putting in these phrases, and then the software will go in and put everything together. And we'll show you what one of the end results looks like in just a moment here.
Yes. So then the next question is really simple here. It's just how long does it take to ferment vegetables? As you can see, the questions are really easy, simple, easy to digest. There's not really a whole lot of questions that will be asked of you that will be difficult. Write a word that describes someone who is successfully fermenting vegetables. That's a noun. So culinary artist is what I put down. So now let me show you. I'm just going to skip over to where the content is produced. This is right here. These are questions that in order to determine if fermenting vegetables is an activity that someone would want to do, write 3 questions that they may ask that they would answer yes to if the activity is a good fit for them. So are you interested in eating healthy? Yes. Do you worry about unnatural preservatives or in canned vegetables? So I just kind of thought through all of those questions. So now I already have all of these questions answered. Usually, as far as time, if it's a topic that you just have a general knowledge of, you should be able to get through the questions to produce 1,500 words in about 10 minutes. To produce 5,000 words, it usually takes about 20 minutes. And then if you want to extend it to 10,000 words, it'll take about 30 minutes. And that's assuming that you have just a general idea of what you're trying to do. If you're kind of contemplating or playing with it, then obviously, those times would be adjusted a little bit. But, within, if you're shooting for a 5,000 word ebook, within 20 minutes, you should have a good working copy of something a base that you can start off with. And the story that I told Ty when I first met him is that, this is almost like cooking. There was a time and day where if you wanted to bake a cake, you had to make everything from scratch. But now Betty Crocker and a lot of these other, there's all these cake mixes out there where you could make a cake in like 30 minutes. So this is sort of a parallel to that. Some people may argue that a cake from scratch tastes better. Would I argue with that? No. But at the same time, I don't have time to make cakes from scratch every time I want to bake a cake. So now let me go back to the last page over here just to show you kind of what the output looks like. When you get to the last page here, it'll give you an option to either pull 1,500 words or 5,000 words. We already answered the questions for 5,000 words. So you can kind of see fermenting vegetables is an event unlike anything else, and you have to plan appropriately. You cannot tackle it like some of the things you may have pursued in the past. If you want to prosper with pickling vegetables, you ought to prepare each part of you for the unique challenges that fermenting vegetables presents. Before laying the groundwork of what is usually involved to be successful, we will focus on several preparations that someone should consider before commencing. After all, fermenting vegetables is a journey, and you must prepare for a voyage before committing to the plunge. Following are some tips to help you get started. Researching the healing properties of particular vegetables. You can see it's readable. So the philosophy behind why I created this software is that it is so much easier to read and edit content and mold it to do what I wanted to do and to convey what I wanted to convey than it is to write word for word from scratch. So with the way that writing is and the demands that are put on us to share information faster and faster, there has to be solutions out there that would allow us to produce content faster. And this was my solution to do just that. So I want to show you now what I did with this content in order to make it what I wanted to do. One of the first things that I recommend anybody that's using this software to do is always write your introduction from scratch. It's only maybe 400 words that might take you 15 to 20 minutes to write. But when you write that introduction, it sets the tone for your book, and you're not just jumping right into automated content. Because automated content, when you intersperse it with your own content and your own flavor, it makes the book your own. It makes it something that you can call, that you can own as one of your products and be proud of. Right. Before I show you my editing process, I just want to show you really quick. And
before you do that, Lina, just going back to the introduction and writing that out on your own, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because there's something that I call the hook method, and that is just being able to hook people in by making sure that what you write in your intro, and even like that first beginning section of your book, is what's going to really pull people in, especially if you have that part of your ebook being shared on Amazon where people can go in and preview it.
Right.
They're going to see that, and they're going to say, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for, and let me go in and push the buy button. So that's very important. Go in, make sure that your intro is quality stuff. It's going to hook the reader in and get them to want to buy, and then allow the software program to do everything else.
Exactly. And then just in case anybody is wondering, this is unique content. This is content that is original and not previously published, right, not used previously. So I'm just going to run it through Copyscape here. This was what I just generated.
And just explain what Copyscape is to the person that may be watching and is not familiar with Copyscape.
Yeah, Copyscape is basically an anti-plagiarism tool that allows you to see if the content that you're putting in has been previously published elsewhere. So what it'll do is if any parts of this have been previously published, then it'll show up with matches. But as you could see, for the 5,000 plus words that I put in, there's no results found. So what that says is you're starting with a base that has not previously been published. So it's just basically saying that this is original content.
So all unique, and there's no risk of putting your Amazon account, your Kindle publishing account in jeopardy or anything like that. And this is just another reason why I really fell in love with this program here, is just because you have that ability to go in and create content that stands on its own, that's not part of anything else that's ever been published, and that's totally unique to you. And it's something that you can create and continue to sell forever and ever and ever and ever.
Right. And then the other thing, too, that I wanted to point out is, say you read this and you don't like the way that it's worded, you could just reload this page right here, and it'll completely, I read like how, just briefly, like what, the structure of this content is, but when you reload it, it'll recalibrate the entire piece of content to be worded differently, and that's how we are able to. So you can kind of see it's just by looking at it, you could see it's kind of structured differently. Cooking regularly at home. These are some of the activities you should be definitely carrying out right now. So you can kind of keep doing that until you have a good starting point. But usually the first one, I've never heard of anybody really doing that, except for people who for some reason may want to publish 2 or 3 books on the same topic for whatever reason. You can use the same project to produce however many pieces of content that you want. So now that you have that, I wanted to show you my editing process. Now, the first thing that I do, I told you that I write my introduction from scratch. So what you see on the screen right now that's highlighted is what I wrote. So this whole first piece up to here is what oh wait, not on this one, just one second. That's this one right here. I wrote these 3 paragraphs right here, and then I'm going to just scroll down so you can see. What you see that's not highlighted is what Wordbotic kept, and what you see that's highlighted is what I added in while I was editing. But you can see a lot of what Wordbotic wrote, I just kept pretty much as it is. you know, that almost that a whole entire page. And then over here, I actually added this section here. In here, this is the section that it created on step-by-step fermenting vegetables. I just added in, you know, like a lot more detail. And what you'll find is that depending on the topic that you choose, some topics are really detailed while some are not. Fermenting vegetables, this is something that I just wanted to produce a real general guide on, just to offer some information on, you know, what fermenting vegetables is. It's really just a beginner's guide. So you could see that I kind of went with the general information. I didn't really add a whole lot of information in. And this entire editing process took me just over an hour. So really the time, you see this, almost this whole page, I just kept as it is. Really the whole, this is about 5,000 words right here. It took me a little over an hour. I wrote about probably like 500 to 600 words myself. On average, you'll find that when you're going through the editing process and editing content that comes out of Wordbotic, usually about every 20 minutes you should be able to edit and read about 1,000 words. So that would mean you reading it and editing it as you go, adding whatever you want to add, as you could see here with what I have highlighted, adding little phrases to just kind of bring it, you know, to convey what it is that I'm trying to express.
Right, and you're adding your own personal touch to this as you're going through doing this here.
Right. Now, you know, just bringing it back to my whole motivation behind even behind why I even made the software is I didn't want to have to write all this from scratch, and I didn't have to. The average person writes 500 to 800 words per hour when they're sitting down with a piece of paper or a typewriter and writing the thoughts from their mind onto paper. So right here, between the time that I used the software and the time that I edited and read what the software created and added my own flavor to it, it took me just under 2 hours. So that's about 2,500 words an hour, a little bit more than 2,500 words an hour. So I went from an average of 500 to 800 to 2,500. So you can kind of see how that just affects your overall productivity. Now, one of the most common questions that's asked with this software is, what if there is a topic that I want to write about that's more specific, that requires more detail? So I actually have an example here that I want to show. This is a book that I just came out with. It's called Writing Great Content with Wordbotic. And this is a book that I wrote, and I used Wordbotic to write the book. So as you're reading the book, you're going to read about how you can use Wordbotic to write content that people really want to read. Now, is this a book, Ty, that you would be interested in reading?
Absolutely.
Right. So it's the part of using Wordbotic is really understanding how to use the tool and this power that I have to create content fast to appeal on topics that I know people are going to want to read about. People are always asking me, well, what kind of books can I write with this? What's the best way to use it? So I wrote a book about it. And do you know how long it took me? This book is 72 pages. I'm sure it says that somewhere over here. 70 pages.
Yeah, I see it, 70 pages.
And 70 pages, and a lot of that is images and screenshots of things I did with the software and the inputs that I put in and how I did it. But that's something that you'll find valuable, because as you're reading the book, you'll read the book, and if you've used Wordbotic for a while, you'll recognize that, you know, you'll see that it's Wordbotic content, because you'll kind of see how the phrases work and how it all intertwines. But then, you know, the question that's going to come up after you're done reading the book is, what did you put into the software? Because if you're a software user, then, you know, if you're using Wordbotic, then you're going to want to know, what did I put in? So I made screenshots of all these inputs to show how, you know, what I actually put in each phrase. And then on top of that, I also added screenshots of my editing process, just like how I showed you my editing process with the fermenting vegetables example. I did the same thing in this book. And this is a book I'm giving everybody who buys the software. I'm giving it to them for free. I'm getting a free copy sent to them so that you can have a physical book and see a real practical application of how this software works and how it creates content that people will want to read.
Awesome.
So I'm just going to scroll through here and just show you, how much I edited. So the introduction, just like I said, I always write my introductions from scratch. So all of this is what I wrote. And then as I'm paging down, you can see these highlighted parts is what I added in. Now this is an example of a piece of content where or a topic that I had a lot more to add. I had more details to add, but you can still see that more than half of the content I kept from Wordbotic. I added a lot in, but then, like there's some, like over here, I almost kept all of it. And that was just the editing process.
So it's as simple as going through just a couple of steps there, and then putting most of your focus on the actual intro, excuse me, and then going in and editing everything to make sure that it flows correctly and to your liking.
Right, exactly.
Okay, all right. This is awesome. I'm pretty excited about this still, and what I'm going to do is, right now, all of my Kindle books are created by writers that I go in and outsource. And now, what I've been thinking about over the last couple of days is going in and teaching people how to go in and use this system, how to use Wordbotic to crank out our ebooks. So it's going to now allow me to save a lot of money, as well as publish ebooks a lot faster. So it's just one of those things where on both ends it benefits. I'll be able to save money as well as make more money at the same time, because we're now putting out more ebooks on a regular basis.
No matter how you look at it, editing content is faster than writing it from scratch.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have anything else that you want to share?
That was pretty much it. I went through the process. Do you have any questions that come to mind right away?
No, I think
right off the bat?
Yeah, I think you were pretty thorough. And on the page, once you click over, what you're going to do is, on the page that we have this video, click the button that you'll find below this video, and you'll be able to get more information on the Wordbotic system, as well as be able to get a copy of it yourself. And as Lina mentioned, everyone that gets in, she's also giving that special book that she went in and created. And you also want to keep in mind that this is something that's going to be closing down, so it's not going to be around forever. So you do want to make sure that you do get in quickly. And Lina, for a lot of people that are writers and that are authors and that are just publishers of Kindle books, one of the biggest obstacles to publishing Kindle books is hiring a writer and going through the process of interviewing people, finding the right person, and then finding someone who is honest and actually knows what they're doing, right? And then, the other issue that a lot of people have is having to pay a writer to write the content for them and having to incur that additional expense. This gets rid of both of those, all right? So you don't have to worry about finding someone that's going to be knowledgeable about what you want them to write. You don't have to worry about finding someone that's honest, that's actually going to deliver the product for you after you pay them. You don't have to worry about having to actually go in and hire someone if you've never done that. That can be a terrifying, thing to have to go in and learn how to do. And it's one of the biggest things that I see that, gets a lot of people to the point where they just get paralyzed and they don't do anything. I know for myself. Go ahead. What do you have?
Oh, I was just going to say that the other thing, too, is that with what you're talking about, the quality control element is sort of minimized because
Absolutely.
you have such consistency. You know what's going to come out, and it's a matter of, how someone edits versus how someone writes from scratch.
Right. Absolutely. There's a huge difference there. And just going back to the expense, on average, I pay between $75 to $125 for every ebook that I have written. So if you think about that, $75 to $125 for every ebook that I have written, you can get access to a program like this and literally create several ebooks, right, for a fraction of that each, And that's doing it the old way, you know, the way where I was doing it. And I say was because this is the way that I'll be doing it from now on. It's just using this program. So doing it the old way, I was paying $75 to $125 for every ebook. And think about it. With this software, you can have multiple ebooks created for that amount or for less than that amount. The other thing that I want to point out is that when I hire a writer to write an ebook for me, it typically takes them anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks to complete it. Right, and that's with us going back and forth on the outline and what I want written, and then them sending me a review copy, and then me saying, okay, well, I need you to make these changes, and then them making the edits. So between 1 to 2 weeks to have a single ebook created. With this program, with the Wordbotic program, you can have an entire ebook done in just a matter of hours. What would you safely say that they can get I don't know, 5,000 word ebook created in what amount of time?
I'd say about 2 hours.
So in about 2 hours, and then be on to creating your next one to help add on to your income stream. And that's where the big money comes into play. All right. If I had to go back and start all over again, one of the things that I would be doing a lot faster is just pumping out content. So being able to crank out multiple ebooks quickly is what has generated me the most amount of money. In fact, we have one person who, I was taking a look earlier on your site, we have one person who had an idea for an ebook, and he actually procrastinated and sat on the idea for over 2 years. Now, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, does that sound familiar? Like, how many of you have had an idea for an ebook or for a book, and you've just procrastinated because you just didn't know where to start, right? It's just...
I'm raising my hand because my fermenting vegetables book, I swear to you, I've been trying to write about fermenting vegetables for probably a year and a half. But,
yeah,
you know, just there's all these other priorities, and it's not like fermenting vegetables is this hot niche that I'm going to make a ton of money on. It's just an interest that I have. But, wow, in 2 hours, I did it.
And there you go. And that's the other thing. So I ask a lot of my coaching students and people that are just writers and authors and just publishers, and you know, some of the biggest things that hold them back are, number one, getting started. They don't know how to start in general. Number two, they'll say, Ty, you know, I have a beginning and I have the end, but I don't know how to fill in the middle. You know, and you know, just like with the gentleman that I just mentioned, he sat on his idea for 2 years. He procrastinated, and he got access just recently to Lina's Wordbotic program, and then in a span of an hour, while waiting for his wife to finish her exercise routine on a treadmill, you know, he was able to crank out a 5,000, I think it was 5,700 word draft of his first ever ebook. So in just 1 hour, he's able to complete an ebook that he had wanted to put out for over 2 years now. So do you see the difference there? Now think about it. I got a good friend of mine, Greg Caesar, and he's an econ major, so every time I tell him about a book idea, and I've published just tons of books, but every time I say, Greg, I've been thinking about publishing this book for the last 6 months or for the last year, what he does is he rubs it in by whipping out his calculator, and he says, you know what, man, imagine if you published your book when you first thought about doing it 6 months ago, and you sold it at X amount, and you sold this many copies a month, you would have made this much money. And that's how much money you've lost out on by procrastinating and not doing it.
I hate it when people do that.
You know, and it pushes me. I hate it also, right? But it pushes me because I'm like, you know, you're right. I mean, that could have been tuition for one of my kids' schools, or it could have been just, you know, money saved or vacation or whatever. But if you think about it, that no longer becomes an excuse when you have access to something like this that not only allows you to get the content out there, but allows you to create high-quality, original content as well. You know, so if you're a writer, or if you're someone who's been thinking about publishing ebooks, or if you have already dabbled in it, procrastination can be your biggest enemy, because every day that you continue to procrastinate is another day that you've actually lost out on money that you could have been making from your ebook sales. All right, and it's money that you're taking away not only from yourself but from your family as well. You know, another thing, people ask me all the time, can money still be made by publishing Kindle ebooks? And the answer is yes. I mean, in fact, it's the one thing that I spend most of my time doing. People ask me all the time, I haven't seen you at any events lately. I haven't seen you releasing any new products. It's because behind the scenes, you know, I'm just publishing stuff. And I love it that way because it's just the easiest quickest way to build a business. And with something like this, I can only see my income increasing by 3 or 4 times, as I mentioned at the very beginning, what I'm currently putting in. Which brings me, go ahead, what do you got?
Oh, I was just going to say you're so right, because this is like, it's an asset. You know, you look at a book that you make, and that's an asset that's going to make you money for forever.
Absolutely. Are you over there picking my brain? Because, you know, you must be reading my mind. I was just about to say, each one of these becomes its own income stream. You know, I still have ebooks that I published 3 years ago that are still making sales, that are still bringing money in. So each one becomes its own income stream, and not only just an income stream, but it's a long-term income stream. One of the things that I do is whenever I'm looking for, let's say if I want to go in and buy a new car, and I'm looking, what I'll do is I'll publish a series of ebooks, and those ebooks, the income from those ebooks, now pay the car note. Or if I'm looking to take a trip, you know, I'll go in and publish a series of ebooks, and those ebooks fund the trip. All right, so
that's awesome.
This is the way you have to look at this thing, and you know, I think that with something like this, you now have no excuses, and you have the ability to create an unlimited amount of content and to just really, really crush it. All right, behind the scenes, which is where, you know, it happens, because you get to live your life. You get to have this lifestyle of freedom where you're able to create income. All right. Now, at the very beginning, I told you that I'm going to give you a handful of things that I have found to help me to become the most successful. And, you know, after looking at this program and scanning the page and watching the videos and things like that, I found that a lot of what it provides is consistent with what I do in my business on a day-to-day basis. And the number one thing is to get started. All right. Every day I do the things that are going to I call it Operation Money Suck, and it's the thing that is going to generate me the most amount of income the quickest, all right? And that involves getting started. So if you have an idea, or if you have several ideas, go in and pluck out the idea that you think will be the better seller, all right, and work on that one first. And if, you know, you've never published an ebook before, get started. Do it right now, today. All right, get the program and do it today, because every day that you procrastinate, it just widens that gap to a point where you'll never get started. All right, how many software programs have you bought before? How many internet marketing courses have you bought before, and that you haven't started immediately, and it's just sitting on your hard drive? So don't do that. Get started immediately. And if you've already started with publishing ebooks but may have lost your momentum, just jump back in. I mean, you can always kickstart yourself again. All right, I do it all the time. This time of the year is the perfect time to start, because you'll see an increase in your sales. All right. The second thing is to develop a system. All right. I'm a big fan of Michael Gerber, the E-Myth, right, and guys like Tim Ferriss with the 4-Hour Work Week, because they talk about systems. All right. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and hire a ton of writers like I have. A system simply means using something like Lina's program, like Wordbotic, to help you to create a consistent flow. All right. The third thing
like
is
once a week.
Exactly.
Just once a week, make a book with Wordbotic. It's 2 hours.
It's 2 hours. I mean, you can do that, right? Think about it.
And then by next year, this time, you'll have 50-some books.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So if you say to yourself, there's got to be 2 hours in a week that you're just blowing. You're throwing away. I know it. I threw away 2 hours yesterday just watching the Sons of Anarchy. You know. So I could have had an ebook published with this system. You're making me feel bad, Lina. But you know,
write a book about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a Sons of Anarchy how-to fan guide, right?
Yeah. How to be a fan.
How to be a fan. How to be the ultimate fan. I think that's an awesome idea. You know, so the third thing is, don't just publish 1, 2, 3, or even 5 books. So don't just publish, you know, 2 or 3 books, because the first one may not sell well. The second one may not sell well. But the combination of them, collectively, that's where you're going to make your money. If you really want to cash out, you're going to want to create dozens or more, which is why I'm really excited about this software, because it will easily allow you to do that. I mean, it took me many, many, many months before I got to a point where I had dozens of ebooks up. With something like this, you can do it in about 45 days or so. Okay, and that's with taking long breaks in between, or I shouldn't say long breaks, but just breaks in between. You know, one of the biggest secrets to my success with Kindle and being able to bring in 30, 40, $50,000 a month has been once I get an ebook that sells well, and this is a secret that I have never shared with anyone else outside of this video right here. But one of the biggest secrets to my success is once I get an ebook that sells well, what I'll do is I go in and I create complementary ebooks around the exact same topic. And I saw with Lina just now as we were going through this demo, and she refreshed the page, the light bulb went off again. I said, holy cow. Jesus, you know, this is how I can now do that in just a flash. So let me
And you know, I could just go in using that same example, like I have a fermenting vegetables book. Pickling is actually a different process, and
yes.
I could you know just change my inputs around and make a complimentary book about pickling.
Yes, exactly. And it just allows you to easily go in and just add on to that income stream because you've got people that are interested in this one topic, then you've got something that's similar, all right? So especially if you're publishing this stuff under the same name, people are going to go in and look for other ebooks that you have. If they're satisfied with the first one that they buy from you, they're going to want more of you. All right, they're going to want more of you. That's my problem with my wife. You know, I satisfied her so well, she now wants more of me. That's
Oh my God.
Don't tell her I said that because you'll screw up my
I know,
happy
I was like, is she sitting there right now?
Okay, so the content is there, and going in and I'm going to talk about. Actually, you know what I want to do, Lina? I've got about uh, I've got about actually, you know what? I've got about 10 different things that I do that have helped me to successfully do well with ebook publishing. So for everyone that gets this, that buys this program before you take it off the market, I'm going to give you both of those videos. I've got two videos that I've created, and those are for only I had a $5,000 coaching program, and these are the videos that I share with my coaching students. So outside of that program, no one else has really gotten these. So for everyone that purchases this program, I should say, I'm going to give you access to those two videos. Providing that you don't share them with anyone else, and I'm going to make you sign. You're going to have to sign like a confidentiality agreement so that you don't, so that you promise not to share them with anyone else as well. So we'll give you that as a bonus, and that alone has helped me to just literally just generate hundreds of thousands of dollars publishing ebooks. So you'll get that, and you know, that's pretty much it. Just go in and just create a massive amount of content with this thing, and there are different levels of the Wordbotic program. My suggestion would be to go with the top tier version, which will give you the ability to create just a ton of ebooks. I mean, you can start with any of them, like any level, but I like to think big because I want big results, right? So I would go with the option that allows me to create the most content. Okay, you can crank out ebooks quickly with this thing. You've got content that's going to be 100% unique. You don't need to hire writers. You don't need a huge budget to pull in a ton of cash. You need the program. You need a cover, and pretty much that's about it. You know, this thing really cranks out short ebooks, and short ebooks are crushing it right now. I mean, because people want to go in, they want to find the solution to their problem, and they want to get in and they want to get out. They don't want to read an ebook that's full of fluff. And this thing generates content instantly on any topic in a matter of minutes. Each one becomes its own income stream. I want you to really hone in on that. Each ebook that you put out becomes its own income streams, and you can create multiple streams of income with this. Right? And then the other thing is something that, Lina, you mentioned earlier, is the content is timeless. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I'm still making money from ebooks that I published years ago. Okay, so.
And I'm so glad that I sat with you today listening to all of this because I think we both think alike in many ways. The reason that I am so interested in publishing is because, you know, I work for myself, so I'm not going to have a pension when I get to that age of
Yes.
retiring, but I'm going to have my royalties.
That's right. Yep.
So publishing
a
a ton of books is going to be equivalent to what would be a pension for me.
Yeah, I was just talking to, and that's very smart. I was just talking to last week. I was talking to someone who used to work for me and then became a partner recently, a guy by the name of Tom Jandula, and we were just talking about, he brought up the subject, and we were just talking about publishing ebooks and how we're still both blown away after doing this for years by the fact that you can literally come up with an idea, right, publish it, and people will go in and buy that. And not only will they buy it, but it's something that will be available and make you money year after year after year. Like, I've been doing this forever, and it seems like I'm still just tickled to death by just that alone. You know, sometimes I'll just stop and I think I'm in a dreamland. Like, this is just amazing that, you know, you can come up with things off the top of your head and make it available for sale and generate income from it. But more importantly, also help people, right? Because you're creating a solution to a problem that someone has, and there's that equal exchange there. They're paying you to help them with their solution, and you're giving them. They're paying you to help them with their problem, and you're giving them a solution to that problem. So it's a win-win for everyone here. It's not just one-sided. So with that, I want to really thank you for your time, and more importantly, thank you for coming up with a program like this that is totally, this is just something that's really amazing here. It's awesome.
Thank you. I can't wait to see what people do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Send us, you know, once you get your content created, send us some examples. Send us links as to some of the ebooks that you publish on Amazon. It'd be interesting to see, you know, what you publish, and maybe Lina, you could even put together like some examples of stuff that people have published using your program.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, you know, just so that you can see just the variety. I'm sure it'll be just, you know, across the board.
Absolutely. And if you really want to really just like blow your competition away, make sure you get Lina's program right now, and then I'll give you access to those 2 videos that I spoke about, the bonus videos where I talk about, you know, the handful of things that I do to really 10x my sales. Right? This is stuff that I've done over the last couple of years to really blow, you know, everyone else out of the water, and to just consistently be able to crush it and just pull in huge sales numbers with the stuff. So those are videos that you want to watch. I guarantee once you get the program, you're not going to be able to sleep that day. So prepare yourself, prepare your family, and, you know, you may have to see a doctor after that, because you're just going to be up. I mean, if you're like me, my head was swimming after we left the meeting that day, and the possibilities are just endless, all right? So that's that, and I'm excited.
Thank you.
Click the button below this video and get your copy right now.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.